tonight. Did we have the air conditioning turned on good enough for you guys? Yeah. Thank y'all for coming, hanging out with us in here on the hottest day of the year. Hottest day, here we are. This is SongwriterTX, y'all. I'm Brent Ryan. My friend Boone Holding over here, hosting the show with me. Yeah, thank you, guys. And we are in here for our now May episode of SongwriterTX. I'm saying this because there's folks listening out there on the radio waves. Hello, radio folk. How are y'all out there in radio world on 99.1 The Buck? If you can, feel free to drive on down here to the RockBox Theater. That's where we're hanging out, nice and cool and cozy. Feels pretty good in here, right? All right, yeah, it's not bad. Worst places we could be, you know. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. I wanted to say real quick, this is the first time in SongwriterTX RockBox history, which is coming close to 2 years of being in the RockBox Theater, believe it or not, 2 years.
Crazy.
The first time that we have a repeat guest here. So honored to have tonight Mr. Claude Butch Morgan here for a return to the SongwriterTX stage, along with his friend and our new friend, Tim Grimm, over here. And man, I gotta tell you guys, having, me and Boone get to hang out in here like little minions watching the sound check and stuff. And so I think it's going to be a good night based on what we heard. Yeah. Don't you think, Boone?
I think so.
Yeah, good. These guys, you're in for a treat. Let me just say that. So, but anyway, for those of y'all listening out there in Radio World, SongwriterTX, we feature two Texas songwriters. Boone and I work very hard to try to find y'all the best Texas songwriters we can find. If they're the best Texas songwriters, then they're the world's best songwriters. That's just the way it works. So that's who we got in here tonight, and we appreciate y'all coming. I wanted to say something real quick about SongwriterTX. We're going to have, just as of today, so I've teased the last couple of months that we've got some surprises to kind of reveal to y'all. So as of today, we were approved by the state of Texas as a business entity, and now we have officially filed for 501c3 status, SongwriterTX. So that's... I didn't want to announce that until I kind of knew that we knew what we were doing, because we didn't. But it looks like we did after all. So
wait, we didn't? I think we don't.
We don't. We're just, it's like feeling your way through a dark cave. But the good news is, within the next few weeks, pending anything we're not aware of, we should be approved by the state of Texas as a 501c3 business entity. And so we're doing all that, y'all, because we're working hard as a team. This exists primarily me, Boone, KK, Justin back there with JM Broadcasting, and Paige here with Fbg.Live, doing everything we can to keep this show thriving and keeping it free for y'all. That's what we're trying to do, because we want to keep filling up this theater so that guys like Butch and Tim can enjoy y'all as an audience and make forever fans. That's what we want to have happen. And so if we can do that, that's what we're trying to do. So these next steps that we're doing are to get us to a place where we can keep that going for you guys. There's also rumors. There's rumors of also SongwriterTX podcast maybe starting. So we'll see. We'll see what things are going here. So lots of cool things developing with this. But let's get into the music a little bit. I'm sure I'll have some other things to blab about as we go on here. But I'd love for now. But you've been here before, so we'd love to hear a little bit about who you are, where you come from, how you got into music. And Tim, we definitely want to hear that from you, because we've never heard it from you before. But why don't y'all tell us a little bit about where you come from? I was surprised. I asked Tim where he lived. I expected he would say something like, "Oh, down in Comfort" or something like that. No, not even close. So tell those folks where you're from and how y'all do the music thing, and then we'll do a round of music for these guys.
All right. Well, I'm from Beaumont, as far away from Beaumont as I can be. I live in a little town called Devine, Texas, and that's south of San Antonio a little ways. I've been living there since 1960 or so, and I just refuse to leave. It's just easy for me to be there, and I love the people in that little community, that little town, and it's just far away enough from San Antonio to kind of not be in trouble very much there. We have the same thing like every place, but it's really a wonderful, wonderful little town. And I'll sing you a song about that a little later. Anyway, that's where I'm from. I've been writing songs since I was 13. I'm 78. I have songs.
Butch, during the time we were getting ready for the show tonight, said multiple things back in the green room that were pure poetry. I wish I'd recorded the whole conversation. But he was going through his set list, and we're talking about the length of the show. And you said something like, it's like eliminating children, like figuring out which songs you weren't going to play. Which is, I mean, a lifetime full of songs. It's got to be tough to pick out the ones you really love, So.
Well, sometimes you want to introduce people to your children who are obedient, but in other times, you really want to show them the disobedient children. So tonight, I'm going to show you a few disobedience.
I love it. How about you, Tim? Tell us a little bit about.
Well, I got it. Break a secret here that I'm not a born and bred Texan. I know.
Let's go ahead and read.
But this guy invited me. Yeah, we said it. But I'm a Hoosier, everybody. Yeah, I'm a Hoosier. That's a funny thing, I suppose. Anyway,
I'm not sure what to think about.
Well, yeah, born and raised in Indiana, but I've spent many, many years traveling all over this country playing music. And I also spend a fair amount of time over the big pond in Scotland and Ireland every year. I've got a little company that leads music tours in Scotland. So my heart is in many places, and I'm really happy to be here. I was in San Antonio last night, San Antonio tomorrow, and Houston on Saturday. So it's my little Southern Texas swing.
And we kind of designed the show to pay homage to the Kerrville Folk Festival, which is kicking off here in a few days. And we got Butch back for that reason. And then Butch picked him to be his guest tonight. And we gave him kind of carte blanche to do that. Because when Butch says, this is who I want to play with, we say, like, all right, Butch, man, you got it, man. So
that was true.
It was good. It was good first time. We knew it was going to be good this time. So, well, why don't y'all give us a round? However y'all want to do it. Pick one first.
I guess that's up to me first. And I'm just going to start with the sad song.
I love it.
It's going to be a sad song.
That's what we're here for.
How many people out there in our audience here, our live audience in the theater, are dog lovers? Okay. We got some clapping. We got some barking. So I'm outnumbered. I'm a dog liker. But I've got two sons, and when they were, they're in their 30s now, when they were really little, we had a big grumpy dog in the house. We were the fourth owner of this 2-year-old, half lab, half chow. And this dog liked one person, my wife. And the kids just wanted a dog they could play with, throw a stick, and the dog would have nothing to do with them. They kept begging, Dad, can we get a puppy? Can we get a puppy? I like dogs, I don't love them. So they waited till I went on the road for a couple months, a couple weeks, and I came back and there was a brand new puppy sitting there, and they all yelled, surprise! And everything that went wrong in my life for the next year, I blamed on the new dog. Blamed it on the dog. Well, the horse got out, the well ran dry, neighbor's cow trampled the garden. Baylor lost a pin barn, roof caved in, the ground is getting harder and harder. And the front porch leaks, the back door squeaks, the weeds are choking all the flowers. My shoes are too tight, my hair's not right, kitchen clock's losing its hours, gonna blame it on the dog, on account of that dog. Oh, because of that dog you brought home last summer. Said we don't need a dog, we don't need another dog, but you brought home a dog. What a bummer. Well, the truck got a flat, can't find a good hat, jeans are getting smaller and smaller. Dishwasher broke, no rum for my Coke, and the kids are getting taller and taller. And the rabbits ate the peas, the grass makes me sneeze, every single car has a dent. If it were up to me, I'd be up in the tree by myself and pay no rent. Gonna blame it on the dog, on account of that dog. All because of that dog he brought home last summer. Said we don't need a dog, we don't need another dog, but you brought home a dog. What a bummer. chewed my shoe, 2 pillows and a belt and my favorite pair of socks. Then it rained on the hay and the cat ran away and the mower ran over the rocks. The new car got old, the bread was full of mold, a hailstone hit me in the eye. Your skirt's too short, my sleeves are too long, but ate the last piece of the pie. Gonna blame it on the dog, on account of that dog. All because of that dog you brought home last summer. Said we don't need a dog, we don't need another dog, but you brought home a dog. What a bummer. Here comes the pitiful part, ladies and gentlemen. I twisted my knee, got stung by a bee, fell into the rabbit hole. Summer's too hot, summer's too long, and the kids don't laugh at my jokes. I sneeze all the time, can't find a good rhyme. Wife claims that I snore. I'm all out of beer, it's cold in here, and there's a puddle on the floor. We're gonna blame it on the dog, on account of that dog. All because of that dog you brought home last summer. Said we don't need a dog, don't need another dog, but you brought home a dog. What a bummer. Blame it on that dog.
Sounds like the right thing to do. That's great, man.
Thank you.
Really good.
Well, Tim, you got boots on. So I give you that.
I do got boots on, yeah.
Yeah, you got good boots on.
Yep. I was told that these are round point boots. I remember coming to Texas 20 years ago. There was a guy in Houston ran a big house concert series, and I was coming with another Midwesterner who just had a collection of old beat-up cowboy boots.
Songbird Sanctuary?
Yeah. Yeah. And my buddy had a bunch of real cowboy boots that, a collection of them. And I just have my round point, my round-toed work boots. And he basically told my friend, well, you're not a Texan and you're not a cowboy, so you can't wear those boots in my house. To the other guy, Tim's just got those work boots on. He can wear those into the house. So, you know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Right on. All right.
Well, let's see here. Oh, there's more in Texas. I want to make it clear, more in Texas. In great dance halls and beer, there's more in Texas than firm handshakes and smiles, more in Texas than miles and miles and miles, more than boots and cowboy hats. But yeah, got a bit of that, more than beans and barbecue. But you know that too is true, more than lassos, chaps and spurs, tumbleweeds, big grass spurs, more than barbed wire, yes it's so, even more than a rodeo. There's more in Texas than an endless big blue sky, more in Texas. In places flat and dry, there's more in Texas than cactus and mesquite, more in Texas than any I can meet now. Texas is a state of mind. I keep it on mine all the time, and when I go some other place, well, I'm still in a Lone Star State. I do not hesitate to state other states are great, so travel friends and have a ball, but when you think you've seen it all. All right, boys, get it. Can be found within them open lands, and though Bob Wills is still the king, Much more here than western swing. There's polkas, blues, rock and roll, country western, bebop, soul, jazz, and Boone holding if that's your thing, and lots of music we still can't name. There's more in Texas than a yippee-ki-yay, more in Texas than longhorn steers and hay. There's more in Texas than a howdy-how you all, more in Texas than a long southern drawl. It's the people here in this state really make this state so great. Come on down, set a spell. It won't take you long to tell. There's more in Texas. Have I made my point clear? More in Texas. Yeah, you need to get down here. There's more in Texas. Just thought you'd like to know more in Texas than just the Alamo. More in Texas, yeah. There's more in Texas.
I think we just found our jingle song for SongwriterTX.
That's great.
Doesn't get any better. Doesn't get any better than that right there.
Great.
Well, awesome. What a way to kick things off. Far be it from me to not mention real quick, thank you to, a big old huge thank you to Mike Starks Realty with Town and Country Remax here in Fredericksburg. It's the reason we're here. It's the reason we're here. Well, it's not the reason we're here. It's the reason we're in here for free, because Mike Starks sponsors our show. We want to say a huge thank you to him, and also just throw out there, Mike. He's the smartest dude around here when it comes to real estate. So whether it's ranch, residential, commercial, he's the guy to talk to. MikeStarks.com. I get to have him on my radio show about once every couple of months, and he's always fun to get on there. So I call him the rock star of the realty world. So anyways, thank you, Mike Starks, for giving us the support of being here in SongwriterTX. He's hugely supportive of what we're doing down here, supporting the arts, and he loves that we get such a gathering of people in the community in here every month. He loves that. So that's a big deal. So with that being said, now a couple questions to launch things off. So we kind of kicked the show off, or we planned the show to sort of be in honor of the Kerrville Folk Festival, which obviously has decades of impact and influence on the music scene, much farther than the state of Texas or the Hill Country, but obviously huge for the state of Texas. And the list of artists who have created followings and audiences and all through the folk festival is enormous. But not only that, when you talk to people who are in the culture of the Kerrville Folk Festival, it's not even about the names that broke and got famous. It's about all the relationships that happened in the campfires and the jams and the unexpected moments and stuff like that. So what I'd love to just start off by asking you guys about y'all's experience with the folk festival or any other of those kind of gatherings where musicians get together and kind of form those magical bonds and music is celebrated, how that's had an impact in your songwriting and your career as an artist. So.
Okay, then.
You got it.
Yeah, so I was a New Folk finalist 3 times, which means that you submit your song, and then the 800 or 900 people do the same thing, and then they have a listening committee that listens to them, and they hone it down to like 32.
Yeah.
So 3 times I was down in the last 32.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then they hone it down to 6. So I belong in Club 7.
Okay.
I never won the festival.
That's more prestigious to be in Club 7. That's what I've heard.
It kind of is, and I forgot what happened was I forgot the lyrics to the song that I was doing. Well, it's intense to be to do that in front of people, and I just sort of had changed the lyric just before I went out, and I blew it. And I stopped, but my recovery was beautiful. And it was funny, and it was great. And because of that, I got a main stage performance the next year. Not because I won New Folk,
Wow, yeah.
but because Dallas Allen was sitting right there and saw me recover. She said, okay, you're
awesome.
good. And so so Kerrville changed my songwriting life for sure. By the time I went to Kerrville in 2003 was the first time I went, I've been writing songs since 1964. And so I'd already written umpteen terrible songs by then, and some good ones too. But just getting around that culture and sitting around in the songs circle. There's this girl named Rachel Bissix, rest in peace, heard me play guitar in San Antonio, and she had won the New Folk contest the year before, and she was coming through town and played at this little church, and she heard me play, and she goes, "Do you want to play with me at Kerrville?" And I go, "Well, I guess so. Is there any money in it?" She goes, "Yeah, there'll be some money." I go, "Okay, it's just a gig, you know." That's all I was thinking. I'm an old rock and roller. I thought, what would I do at a folk festival? And so, but we went, and I played it, and it was great. And then we got through, and I was packing up my gear to go home. And she comes running out, says, "No, you can't go home. This wasn't the gig. The gig's in the meadow down here. You got to come. I got to introduce you to some people." I go, "Oh, okay, whatever, you know." So we go down, we sit in a song circle, and then I'm starting to hear these one great song after another, completely oblivious that it's coming around to me. And it was complete surprise, you know. And so that changed my life. It did. I realized, you know, I could do this. And so I've been doing it I was doing it already, but I'm doing it better now.
Yeah,
Kerrville was a great thing for me.
love it.
Yeah.
Love it. It's great.
I first went to Kerrville maybe 20 years ago to play the main stage, and it was quite a scene. It was, you know, one of these hot Texas summer days, and I brought my buddy Jason Wilbur with me to play guitar. Jason Wilbur played, he was John Prine's guitarist for 25 years, and he lives just over a hill or two from me in Indiana. And we've been friends, and I said, "Come and do this Kerrville Folk Festival thing with me." We're sitting backstage, which is basically picnic tables and benches back behind the stage, and I see two other guys sitting at the next table. And I went and introduced myself. One is a guy named David Olney.
Oh, gee.
And so David was going to follow me. And the other guy with him was a guy named Sergio Webb, who was playing guitar with him. And
Two of the best.
I met him. We became friends. I hosted him out in Indiana a few times for different concerts. We'd run across each other a lot. And then I got to know a lot of other people that went through Kerrville. A guy named Eric Taylor, Texan. And became good friends with Eric, and we did shows together over in England, and I hosted him as well. He cut one of my songs, which is a real honor to have Eric Taylor, who'd only ever recorded Townes Van Zandt songs before, and he took one of my songs. I mean, that was one of the biggest honors I've had. And then the third guy I got to know pretty well, named Michael Smith from Chicago, wrote a great song called "The Dutchman." I knew all these people. I knew them well. They were masters of their craft, and they all passed away within a year of each other in 2020. And
Tough year.
it was a tough year. And I was sitting at my cabin, in my cabin one day, looking out over the meadow. I grabbed the guitar, and thinking of those three guys, I wrote this next song, which is called "Dreaming of King Lear," which is what David Olney was dreaming about the last time I saw him. We did a gig in the Netherlands together, went to dinner. He told me how much he loved William Shakespeare, greatest writer who ever lived. And he said he dreamed of being a Shakespearean actor on stage one day, that he would love to play King Lear. So this is Dreaming of King Lear, about these three masterful writers, all of whom were well known at Kerrville. Dreaming of King Lear. Each of you were jesters, but none of you were fools. You could sing the world its beauty by breaking all the rules. And those of us that follow you have mountains still to climb. The path we walk is lonelier, but easier in time. Let us go to the banks of the ocean. If it can't happen to you, it can happen to me. We're headed for Jerusalem tomorrow. Michael Smith, Eric Taylor, and David Only. Put this pen to paper and my hands on this guitar, and I think of all the places we've been to near and far. And I think of all the stories that no one else could tell. When the lights went down in those holy rooms, you could hear it well. Let us go to the banks of the ocean. If it can't happen to you, it can happen to me. We're headed for Jerusalem tomorrow. Michael Smith, Eric Taylor, David Only. Thought I'd tell a story with these simple cowboy chords. Then I shared the stage with greatness. I'll be grateful evermore. And each of you were preachers and prophets without fear, and your talismans were bottles, books, and dreaming of King Lear. And let us go to the banks of the ocean. If it can't happen to you, then it can happen to me. We're headed for Jerusalem tomorrow. Michael Smith, Eric Taylor, and David Only. Michael Smith, Eric Taylor, and David.
All right, so I have I played with all three of those guys on the main stage as a guitar player, and none of those people. Sarah Joe, he's one of the best guitar players on the planet. Dave Olney was one of my favorite songwriters. He actually just died on stage performing. Wow. Incredible.
Oh,
He just said, and his last words were, "I'm sorry." But that just sounds just like him. So I'm going to sing a song about a guy that also passed away. A great songwriter that I played with on the main stage, named Chuck Pyle. Chuck Pyle wrote wonderful songs, and you've heard his songs. You may not, maybe not from Chuck, but you've heard them from Jerry Jeff Walker and other people who've recorded his tunes. Anyway, he always invited me up to play the last 2 songs or so at his shows. And this particular time, he called me and goes, "Hey, Butch, I want you to play with me at Kerrville Little Folk." I go, "Oh, sure, you know." He goes, no, I want you to play the whole set with me." Okay, well, that's like a 45-minute set, so that's 9 songs maybe. So he sent me 26 songs. And I got him in, you know, I called him, I go, "David, Chuck, there's 26 songs." He said, "Yeah, I'm not really sure which ones I'm going to do." I said, "Okay." So I worked on them really hard, and I got them down good, and we had a great show. That was a Saturday night. Had a great show. He had to be at the barn dance, Michael Hearn's barn dance. We had a show to do. No, that was Friday night. So we had a show to do it at the barn dance on Sunday, and I was going to play with him there. But I also had a show I was doing Saturday night at Kerrville. So I had to stay, but he went on ahead. And so I get a phone call Saturday morning from Chuck, and he goes, "Hey, Butch, yeah. I stopped at Cracker Barrel to have a breakfast, and I left my hat." He always wore this big old white, beautiful cowboy hat. He was bald-headed, and they call him the Cowboy Zen, just a wonderful man. He said, "But would you mind bringing my hat to me?" I go, "No, not at all." And so I went by and got his hat, and on the way to Taos, New Mexico, and I just decided to take some pictures with different people wearing his hat. I didn't know that he was a germaphobe, and that I kept posting the pictures all the way down the road, and one with his on a cactus and a donkey and a few other things. Anyway, I gave him his hat back, and he barely held it. Thanks a lot. Anyway, we did the show together. It was a great Sunday afternoon, and in hindsight, we all recognized that something was going on with Chuck, but we didn't know what it was. And anyway, he went home. He said, "I got to get some rest." He went home, and he went fishing, and then that's where he passed away, was with his fishing vest on, his pole in his hand. And I wrote this song, so. Well, he put on his big old cowboy hat, hitched his horse trailer to his Cadillac, and he drove away, far away. Last time I saw him, he was standing tall at the barn dance, singing to us all with a smile all over his face. Yeah, we all gotta do it now and then. Gotta say goodbye to an old friend. That's never easy. He went home to Colorado just to get a little rest. Grabbed his old fly rod and his fishing vest. Went down to the lake just to work on a line. Left all of his cares in his fishing pole, laying on the bank of the fishing hole, and his cowboys in the drifter's wind. Yeah, we all gotta do it now and then. Gotta say goodbye to an old friend. That's never easy. Well, I won't forget what he last told me. He said, nature owns the melodies, and if you will just shut up, she'll sing them to you. Be willing to bet it won't be long till a chickadee singing one of his songs. Yeah, chickadee-dee, chickadee-dee-dee, chickadee-dee. Yeah, we all gotta do it now and then. Gotta say goodbye to an old friend. That's never easy. We all gotta do it now and then. Gotta say goodbye. That's never easy. Yeah, he put on his big old cowboy hat, hitched his horse trailer to his Cadillac, then he drove away. I miss all those guys.
Great, man.
Hey, what a round.
Yeah, that's really good, man. Really good. So, speaking of the hat, what's the story behind your hat?
Oh,
That hat's got a story. It has to have a story, right?
it does have a story. It's got a quick story.
All right, yeah, let us in on it.
I just got through returning from California, where I played 2 weekends, 2 weeks apart, the same place. They wanted me back. They brought me down there. I played 3 nights. They loved me. They sent me money for an airplane ticket and wanted me to come right back. So I went right back last weekend. And the first time I went, we were at this little bar down the street. I had a really nice little straw hat on. And this Spanish guy walks up to me, and 2 of them walks up to me, and one of them says they're from Mexico City. He didn't speak any English. And the other guy spoke pretty good English. And so we're talking there, and as we do, I said, take a picture. He said, can we take a picture? I goes, yeah, but the problem with that is I always have to trade hats with you if we're going to take a picture. And I didn't mean permanently. You know? And so I put my hat on his head. And I put his hat on, and we took a picture, and then we stood there and looked at each other, and he goes, you know, that looks pretty good on you. And I said, yeah, that looks good on you too. What do you think? Okay. So that's how I got this hat.
That's cool.
I love it. I love it.
Why you ask, you know? That's great. That's good.
And that's why I didn't wear a hat tonight.
Gave it away earlier.
Didn't want to be explaining yourself, you know? Yeah, you know what I think about the whole Texas thing, you know? I came up, Butch and I were talking about this a little bit. One of the first things I got to do in the music world, besides just try to write songs and get gigs like everybody does, is I got brought on to do a show called the Texas Music Hour. And so I basically got, you know, immersed into this world of learning about Texas music. And, you know, I took it upon myself, like, not only what does it mean, what does it bring out in me, and what does it mean to me? That's kind of the journey I went on. And one of the things that I found about it that was so intriguing, and what I love about it now, and this is what I do this for, it's what I stay in this for, and why I you know, connect with the music scene of my state, is because of the variety that exists. You know, you can find everything here, and it's allowed, and it's welcome, and it's enjoyed. And I think that's so beautiful, and very few places have been able to have it and keep it. And that's just what I enjoy about this. And so when I see people come in from other states to come be a part of our scene, I don't look at it, I've never looked at it as a negative thing. I try to embrace that, and I actually take it as a badge of honor for our state and our listeners and our venues to be able to pull people from all over the world that want to come here. Yep. And so, Tim, thank you for being here, man. And we really appreciate it, man.
Thank you. I mean, one of the things I learned early as a songwriter, and I started to, you know, spread my wings a little bit and travel around and listen to music from everywhere, is that one of the great gifts that Texas songwriters have had is they've been remarkable storytellers. You know, a lot of great storytellers have come out of the state of Texas as songwriters, which makes me think about this next song I might do.
Yeah, well, may bring it. I'm not gonna hold you back.
Lightning struck back in 47, hit a walnut tree in Indiana, in the middle of the field on the old home farm. 13 years before I was born, but my dad was there. He was just a boy. I felt the thunder roll, then the hell of a noise. First the crack, Then the creek end grown. There's different ways for seeds to be sown. 13 years before I was born. He was in the barn all of 11 in the year 47. It was 5 more years till he'd get that car, that old Model T that never went far. Well, the tree went down by the near sheep pen. It tore the fence that the ewes are in. Dad walked out with the saw and a wire and the mud and the rain and his pocket plier. And his pa said, "Boy, what'd you do today?" And my dad said, "Pa, I got caught in the rain, but the cows are fed. Got the eggs together and the big tree fell and there's wood together." Took him days to clear the limbs. He knew that job was all up to him. It was after school, he'd split and stack. He didn't know then he'd get something back. Well, he got it down to one mighty log. At that point, he had to make a call. He dialed Bill Scarlett at the Auburn Mill, said, "I got a log, can you help me, Bill?" And they cut that log into many board feet, and Dad shoveled sawdust for about a week to pay the bill. And the job was done 13 years before I was born. And those boards were stacked and stored in the barn until the year they sold the family farm. Dad counted the rings, 124. Now when it comes to me, I can just remember an old stack of boards, all dark and weathered, how they lay behind an old parked car, that old Model T that never went far. We pumped the tires and they held air. We pulled the T out and the boards were there, and we washed the car and we brushed the boards. Cut 13 years before I was born. And Dad said, "Let's move these boards one more time. They're staying here in this new shed of mine." I said, "Dad, can you spare me 2? Did not tell him what I was going to do. Yeah, the big tree fell on my grandpa's farm. Dad saved the boards for what seemed so long, 13 years before I was born. Then I drove those boards to a man named Bear near the Ohio River, south of here, and I told him the story about 13 years. He shook my hand, said, "I'll give you my best. I'll build a guitar not like the rest. Just look at that grain, you can hear the tone. From these walnut boards, so dark and long, we'll make a way to sing your dad this song. 13 years is really not so long." Did you ever stop and wonder at the sound of distant rolling thunder?
Really good.
Grandpa's boards. There's one verse that did not make it into the song. About 5 years after that tree had been struck by lightning and those boards had been made sitting in the barn, Grandpa was on the tractor digging a drainage tile and in one of the farm fields, and the backhoe hit something really hard. And Grandpa stopped the tractor and said to Dad and one of the brothers, "Go get some round point shovels and you boys start digging here." And Dad said they came back and they dug for about 2 days. At the end of 2 days, they had a trench. I don't know how long it was, but a very long trench. And on either side of that trench was an entire mastodon skeleton
Wow.
in the farm field.
Wow.
Now, what do you do with a mastodon skeleton in the early 1950s? Somebody said, well, call the museum in Chicago, and Grandpa dialed them up, and a very nice woman answered at the museum and said, thank you very much for offering your mastodon dinosaur, but someone just gave us a woolly mammoth 6 months ago. We don't have room for yours. Grandpa said, put it in the barn then. And the whole wall of one of the barns along the edge were all these boards and the mastodon. And that's what I remembered as a kid. And I'm building the guitar, my friend's building it, and I remember in a guitar you've got a nut and a saddle, preferably made out of some kind of bone.
Yeah.
And there was a piece of one of the tusks that had broken off. And I took it to my luthier, the guitar builder, and I said, could you put this in? So we've got Grandpa's mastodon in the guitar as well as the boards.
Man,
that's
so
my
cool.
guitar story.
Man, when we were listening to sound check, I looked over and I said, man, I love his guitar.
Yeah.
I knew there was something there, man. That's so great. That is a great song and a great story, man. Thank you for sharing that. So I guess real quick, Butch, before you play your song, this is a very general question. I've been wrestling with this in my head. Like what we do, we tell stories and go out and you know, try to connect with people through song and story. What does that mean to you? Like, what does it mean to your life? Even if you don't do it for people, just doing it for yourself. You know, what is the meaning? What do you get from it? What do you pull from it?
Who are you talking to?
You.
Oh.
If I need to ask again, I could.
Well, like I told you back there, is I don't write songs for other people. I write songs for myself. And my pleasure, what I love is I love the blank page and the pen, and just to see what comes out. After that, it's all plus after that. Like somebody wants to hear it, great. But that's not the reason I do it. But I do it because it pulls out of me. Something will jump out on the page that I would have never just said. But I would write it. I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it to someone. But I would write it. And so it pulls things from me. It pulls things out of my history, out of my past, out of my memory, out of my influences. It pulls those things out of me. And it just going through the course of a day, I wouldn't be thinking about any of those things. But by sitting down with the blank piece of paper and a pen or a pencil or whatever, that stuff just comes out, and it surprises you, doesn't it? I'm always surprised. I get through and go, where in the world did that come from? And so that's kind of.
Do you write every day?
I try to write every day. I do. I try to write first thing in the morning. I do what I call gibberish writing. I will just sit down with a pen and just write gibberish, and with nothing in mind, no guitar, nothing, just random, just flow, free throw, just whatever comes to mind until I'm tired of doing that, and then I'll stop. And inevitably, somewhere in the midst of all that gobbly-gob, there'll be something really good in there, and I'll capture that. And so that's what I do.
Great, yeah. But play us another one if you will. That's
All right,
awesome.
I didn't write this one like that.
Someone was well thought out.
I'm very fortunate in the fact I told you I was going to tell you a little bit about Devine, Texas, and I will right now. So by the time I was 6, I'd lived in 21 Texas towns. My daddy worked for the phone company and was moved all over South Texas. We very seldom stayed anywhere more than 3 months. At the time, 6 months at the most, because Dad was installing these newfangled black lucite rotary phones in everyone's home. And we'd go into any town that was like 800 people or less. In Texas, there was a bunch of those towns. And my dad would just come into town. We'd stay at a motel. He would meet all the people. He would go into their homes, install the phone. He would train a lady to run the switchboard, and then he would leave. And so that was cool. But then when I started school, we had to settle down. So we did in Hondo, which was 25 miles from Devine, and Dad was the construction foreman. And then he got promoted to Devine, Texas, and so we moved to Devine. And upon doing so, I met this guy I'm fixing to sing about now. I'll tell you this right off the bat, just so it doesn't take you by surprise. I'm gonna cry during this song. I always do, because he just passed away. This guy I'm gonna sing about, and he was a very dear friend of mine. And his name was Eddie Hootsler. Now Eddie Hootsler came from a large family. There was 11 in his family, mom and dad and 9 siblings, and they lived in an old house out on what we call it Yancey Highway, but it was just a blacktop road. And they lived in an old house out there, and it was a house just because they lived in it. It was barely there, and they didn't have running water. They had all the attributes of hillbillies, but we were in South Texas, so it was they were flatland billies, we call them. Anyway, and they would come into town on occasion, that old wagon with a mule. They had a mule on the front, and they'd pull it, and the wheels were on with baling wire, and they would flop around. They would come into town and back the wagon up to the mercantile store there, Loggins and Lilies. It's called Loggins and Lilies. Everything from a rat skin to a ranch, it said and it was true. And so they would back the wagon up, unhitch the mule, throw some hay in the street, and then the women would go do shopping, and the men would play dominoes and whittle on the porch there. And all of us cool kids, me and one other guy, would go hang out with the Hootslers. At some point, Eddie, the guy I'm going to sing about, got tired of riding in that wagon with his parents. It was like 19 miles to into town. It took a long time in the wagon. So he got himself a bicycle, and he started riding his bicycle. And then he figured out, well, shoot, I got a bicycle. I don't have to go home, And so he started staying in town. And the fire department let him sleep at the fire department. Then the blacksmith shop, Mr. Stroud gave him a key to the blacksmith shop. So he started staying in the blacksmith shop. And then all of a sudden he decided he was going to be the security guard for Divine. Just out of the blue, he started checking the locks and the doors and stuff. And for no particular reason. And he did it for a while. And the town decided, well, heck, might as well make him the security guard. So they had a big ceremony and gave him a badge and some kind of little radio to call the police or whatever. And everybody started saying, hey, Ed, we need a speech, Ed, speech. And Ed, 2nd grade education, never talked on a microphone before, had no idea, just the nicest, well, he had the commandments of God written on his heart. He knew how to treat people. And so he took his speech. So he stood up, took his hat off. He said, well, thank you, but I don't really want a job. And he gave him the badge and the radio back. And he went right ahead for the rest of his life checking the locks and the doors. So I'm going to sing to you about him. He just passed away. He was my best friend, there's no doubt. I didn't have to make nothing up in this song. There's a guy in my hometown. He just rides his bike around. Weathered face, calloused hands. He's got a belt buckle bigger than a frying pan. Yeah, but he ain't seeking wealth or fame. Eddie is his name. Now, the first time I saw Eddie, well, I thought he'd passed away, 'cause he was laying in a wheelbarrow out behind the War Horse Cafe. I ran inside, I yelled, "There's a guy out back. I sure think he's dead." The sheriff said, "No, he's just sleeping, boy. That there is Eddie. There's a guy in my hometown. He just rides his bike around. He's a self-appointed security guard. He checks the locks and the doors after dark. But you know I would trust him with my life. My favorite dog, my pocket pocket knife. Eddie, Eddie. Now Eddie, he lost most of his family back in 1968. They headed home in their old wagon, and the hour got late. Somewhere out on the Yancey Highway, this car came around the bend, and there were no lights on their old wagon, and that was the end. But not for Eddie. There's a guy in my hometown, he just rides his bike around. Yeah, he spends a lot of time at the coffee shop, but he never has to pay for a single drop. Now when Eddie's gone, one thing's for sure, Divine won't be. Divine anymore. You know, you shouldn't judge a man, try to measure his true worth by the money in his pocket, or the stains upon his shirt, or by the lack of some diploma, maybe the hat upon his head. Because if you do, you'll always be wrong when you meet a guy like Eddie. There's a guy in my hometown, he just rides his bike around. He's got an 8-track player mounted on the handlebars. And I know you probably think I made that part up, but I did not. It was a Motorola 8-track player, big old white thing, weighed about 30 pounds. And he had some headphones, and he would listen to these old garbly 8-track tapes that he would get at the flea market. And but the one he always listened to that he liked the most, Ed, what he listening to? Well, Tammy Wynette and George Jones. There's a guy in my hometown, he just rides his bike around.
You know what I was saying a little while ago about variety and what pulled me into the world and just continues to pull me in deeper and deeper every time. I don't think anyone embodies that variety of Texas, and like you cannot put him in any category like Claude Butch Morgan. I really believe that. He has got so much soul and character, and it's really great to hear, man. I love it. It never gets old, man.
What a great show. So honored to have y'all here. We want to give these folks a chance to take a break, stretch your legs a little bit, refresh your drinks and all that stuff. Don't miss the second half. Y'all will come back and do a whole bunch more songs with these two guys.
All the good songs are coming up
Yeah,
next.
exactly. You don't want to miss that. So, and besides, it's still hot outside, so hang
The
out.
non-obedient ones.
We'll see y'all here in about 10, 15 minutes.